Okay. Did I show you? Ooh, did I show you guys once why you should choose a solid password?
I don't know. Did you show us something you said?
Maybe I did or did not.
Probably not. I don't think so.
Okay.
You have a fun example?
Yeah. It's in German, but it still counts. There it is. So let me make that a little bigger for you guys. So the perfect password. Just a easy one, like 321 or something. Time to hack, less than a second.
Wow, yeah.
A short one, like 3 with letters and numbers and big and small, less than a second. It's only 240,000 combinations. You know, that's pretty quick. A simple long one, like here, less than a second.
Wow.
They run a script over it. And then if you have a complex one with numbers and capital letters and small letters and basically no words in together or like a catchphrase. Margaret Thatcher is sexy or something, and then you put some for every A you do an @ or for E you do a 3 or so, you know, some crazy, because you want to remember it too.
Yeah.
These are good. It takes them 3 years to
That's good.
Yeah. And if you make it like longer ones with sentences and numbers and extra points and exclamation marks, it's like 5.9 million years. So it gets
That's amazing. That's a big difference.
Yeah. So even if you have a long password and it's easy, it doesn't take long.
Yeah, really. I guess because it's predictable then, if you make it like a word or something.
Yeah, or if you only use numbers, then, you know, like you only have 10 possibilities per slot.
These days, like Google, I think Safari does it too. Firefox, they all have the option to do a strong password whenever you fill out a form. So that's nice to have. Probably, hopefully, is doing the right combination. I mean, I can never remember them, so.
Yeah, I have a folder with
You have a log. See, that's nice to do.
Because you can't remember all of them, you know, and all are different.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, so JavaScript. Dreamweaver, what are you doing to me? Okay. Is this JavaScript? Okay. That's a project. Where? Okay. Let's see which files I gave you. Kind of looks a little screwed up at the moment. Okay. Yeah, no. Okay. Okay. Site, new site. And then you just name it whatever you want. And with the folder here, you point it in the right folder path on your hard drive. And then just save it so that these are all together. The Chrome, and within you're having the HTML part here, the CSS part. And if you're going to the console tab up here, you're going to the JavaScript part. So here you can test JavaScript. Okay. That's the same for Firefox. Let's select here something. Inspect element, of course, the other side. Is basically the same, just looks a little different. Here we have the HTML, here we have the CSS, and here we have, that's the, but this something doing, okay. And you see that our developer put a lot of JavaScript statements out here for us in order to check if something's working or not immediately without deep error bug. And the one for Safari is called nightly builds. And they're basically on the cutting edge of what they're putting out, the Chrome, Safari, Firefox developers. So they pretty much get every night new updates in there. It's good if you want to be in the cutting edge testing, but usually a regular browser is plenty. In order to nicely write JavaScript, you basically need nothing, but it's nice to have something like Dreamweaver or Visual Studio Code or some IDE, so a development platform where you get color-coded text, like we saw with HTML and CSS. It's easier to read if it's color-coded for you already. So if the colors don't match up then what they should be, you really immediately know that you have a typo or something in there. And now JavaScript is something like our third leg for web development and web design. It puts the first layer is the, let's say this way, the bones, the structure, the HTML, feel all the time fresh again. So there are some frameworks and some what's it called? No, framework is like with Bootstrap. If you have a combination and of multiple things and they do something for you, or you can like Angular or React. So where you can build something and then they are interacting. But something like Jquery is more like a library where someone wrote stuff that's very useful and you just link to the library and then can immediately use the function someone else wrote before for you. So, and then we already talked a little bit about that. Let's open, which one is here? Index HTML from day one. Okay. To get used to the new one here. So, and as we see, it's a very empty HTML file. There's nothing in there. How do we put JavaScript in our file? There are 2.5 different ways to do that. One is to file.js. Okay, that would link it there. And why we're putting it on the bottom is sometimes in the JavaScript file, you may refer to some HTML element that is created before that. And if the style tag, basically it could also be in the head, is here and you reference to something that's in the body and not created by now when the browser reads through our file, then he doesn't know what you mean with it, the reference. There is no endpoint to the reference, and then the browser says that might be wrong and just ignores that code. There is some way to get around it. I tell you later with putting some extra attributes in here, but that's why if you don't use them, you put it on the bottom of your HTML file. Okay. Then let's take that file and let's open that in our browser. So for that, you go here and say Command O on Mac or what in the so render blocking. So how the browser reads through our file is, as I told you earlier, from top to bottom, line by line. And here, for example, is if I have the regular script, but I have it, for example, at the top or somewhere in our body, not at the end, then the program reads through our HTML, some other server on the internet, but with bigger files and bigger images. And so you see, or you have a very slow connection, you see your website starts building and it stops, and then suddenly it continues going on. So this is if you just use it normal. Then if you just add the word async as attribute in our script, then we do asynchronous loading. So we start loading and parsing the HTML file. Then we see that we have to have a JavaScript file, and the request to download the JavaScript file is sent out to the internet, and then the file is downloaded. At the same time, our HTML gets parsed till the file is finished downloading. Then it gets executed and the parsing stops. And then it goes back after executing to putting the rest of the HTML out. The best way is to use the defer attribute. So with that, the HTML is finished parsing and then it gets executed. So you don't see a break in rendering your website. And whenever you execute the file, all the HTML elements are already created, so you cannot have a pointer to some element that's not created by now because you're too early in the execution. Does that make sense? It's one of the basics how the browser works. I also have another one here for you as a little sneak preview, the node tree. And that is pretty much how JavaScript looks like at our HTML document. You also see it in Dreamweaver here on the side, the DOM, the document object model. Matter, title, links to other files and whatnot in there. And in the body element, I have a header, a main content, a footer. In the header, I may have a navigation and then unordered list and list items. And in every list item, I have an anchor tag and so on. And then with Java, there's also a browser object model, but we're not talking about that. So if you picture of our website, just laid out with different layers, you know, with parents and child elements. And this is just a visual representation of that. But it helps you to understand why you may have to say, oh, I want to have the header instead of the footer if I go for an unordered list, because there might be multiple. So now here in our browser, we have opened the index file, and let's inspect the whole page. And I will put that to the footer for you guys. So, and to the console. To put, can specify what I want to have put out. So let's say, hello world. Okay. But so, okay, we have, everyone has the alert box with some text in it. No, why not?
It's saying that uncaught syntax error expected token.
Okay. Did you write alert?
Oh, wait. Yes. I think I chose the wrong brackets. Hold on.
Oh, yeah, the regular brackets like in text, the round, the same line back. So if you have a multiple of these statements, it gets quite annoying if you have to press OK for every message you put there to go away. That's why there's also, let's keep with the boxes up there. There's a second way to put something out there, which is prompt. If I could right now. Okay, the brackets again, the quotes again, and let's put the question here. Question, quotes and bracket again. And then you get a question here. Whatever I put in here as text is here. And then I could type text in here. And as soon as someone says, okay, I get the value back here. Okay, and the third thing we could do easily is make a yes or no question, which is then confirm. Confirm. And the same thing, brackets, quote, continue, quote, brackets, and then I get a yes or no. If I cancel, I get a no. If I say okay, I get a true. So a false or true statement back. Working?
I have a question.
Yes.
Oh, so it's working, but I'm wondering, why is there a reason that you're able to do these things in the browser? Because it only shows up for your screen, correct? This doesn't.
Yes. See that as a sandbox for you to test your stuff in the browser.
Oh, okay.
JavaScript lives in the browser, nowhere else. So JavaScript is specifically written for the browser. So that's why you have to play with it in the browser.
Okay.
The console is where you can then later log out elements of your script to see if you have a logic error, for example, somewhere in your code, and it works till where, you know, you can pinpoint then, oh, this works, so the error must be something else. And you can test your code step by step then and see the outputs, or if you get an output that you didn't want to,
Okay.
and see what is really there. That's what the console is.
Okay. All right, that makes sense.
For me now, this is just for you guys to see that something's happening if you do something. You know, you get the interaction.
Yeah, okay. All right, thank you.
Okay.
Makes sense.
So JavaScript also does mathematics. So for example, let's put that in an alert. And if we don't have text in there, like if I just want to do numbers, I can just put 5 plus 8 in here, okay? And if I put that out, I should get 13. So it does that. Okay, everyone got the right result. Okay, so that's not too much fun. It just is, you type something in and something happens. This is pretty uninteresting stuff if you want to do something. But now we can go deeper with JavaScript. We can create variables and store information in there and use it later, for example, or use something from the machine or internet to do something with it. Let's, for example, here create a variable. So with that, we have to write var for variable, and then we have to give it a name. The name should not start with a number. It should not have space in there. I don't know for JavaScript if you can start with the exclamation mark, but usually it's all, oh, JavaScript, by the way, is capital sensitive. So if you write a variable in capital letters and you then call it later with small letters, it will not find it because it's not the same, okay? So, and the convention is that variables are with small letters. So let's say date, for example. And to assign something to that variable, we use the is sign, or what is that? Equals sign. Language. And for date, let's put the date your machine has on there. So new is like a special code word for objects, and then date. And this one has a capital letter, date, because it's an object. We're coming to that later, okay? And then two regular round brackets. And you don't have to, but it's nice to finish every statement with a semicolon. Okay. So now we have the date stored in our variable, but can't do anything with it so far. So let's put it out on the screen. Let's use the alert again. And then let's write a little bit to it, like today is space quote. And then we want to concatenate the variable to the text. And that is done with the plus sign. So if we're not doing mathematics, the plus sign does the same thing. In PHP, for example, it's a simple dot. And then let's write the name of our variable here, date, and close the bracket. And if I do that, I get the output today is, and then the rest is the date here. Wednesday, October 21st, 2020, the time, which time zone we're in, all that information. Working? Okay, for everyone? Okay, so it's there, but it's not nice and real. And as I said before, the alert kind of gets annoying with having to click off all the time. There is another way we can put our output visible to us, and that's what's usually used. It's console for the console we are in, then log to log something out, to print something, and then let's put the same statement we had up there. Today is plus date, and then finish the bracket. And if I hit enter here, I get the output here. So it's nicer for us to read, so we don't have to go and click off all the time. For that, I'll make it a little bigger. So, console log working for everyone? It's a very important one, console log. It's where whenever you want to see something there, put it in the console log. That's, for example, the example from my work I showed you earlier. That's all console log out statements. So, but now we could display our date variable on the website, because that's what we actually really would love to do with JavaScript. So for that, I kind of explained the document object model to you a little earlier. So that's where that comes in play. So we have to say in the document, okay, in the body. And we don't have any other HTML tag in our body. So let's say we put that inside the body tag. So inner HTML. Okay. And then the equal sign, the assignment to that again. So what we want to put there. And for strings, we always have to put them inside quotes. And it does not matter if they're double or single quotes, it just has to be consistent. So if you open with double quotes, mixing is not working. And so our date variable. Okay, then append something else. And now let's close the heading 1 element. Okay. And if I hit everyone working, first baby steps. Okay, so it doesn't look very welcoming, right? The time and date. So we can actually use different methods. They are written inside our date object. Like remember, I said this date with a capital D, this is an object that we're creating. And objects come with methods inside, which are little pieces of code, functions inside that one. They do something with it. And they're already written for us, free to use. So let's clean it up a little bit. Let's say document. Actually, I just use the same one here and go a little bit. And inside of just date, so in our same variable, the date variable, we're now only picking the month for that part of the output, only the day for that part of the output, and only the year for that part of the output. So if I hit return, I get a nicer to read. And if I could write today, it would even be a valid output. It's even a nicer, more readable output. So I can use the same information in different places and modify them differently to do what I want. But is number 2. So now we have number 9. It's the 10th thing in our list. It would be October, but it's putting out number 9. In order to fix that, we can use a little trick here. So for that, around the month, let's put brackets around it. Dreamweaver. And at the bottom, let's put a script tag there. And I didn't want to save the variable, so var date, new date. Okay. And with that, we have the same outcome here. Okay, so it's still working. And if that one, but it's not working here in our Dreamweaver preview. So that will happen very often with JavaScript, that Dreamweaver is not work, right? So So far, Dreamweaver only has read our file till here. So it's not here where the body is already. So it says, okay, but there is no body. So where should I really put it? So I can't figure it out, so I forget it. So it just ignores that statement here and continues. If I would put here an external file with defer in it, it would read it. Or I just simply put it at the bottom of my document, and then it has the body tag already created, and then voila, it's here. So that is what I tried to explain to you guys earlier. If something pointing to something in our file that's not created by now, it will not work. Because the browser is stupid and just reads it from top to bottom. It does not keep anything in storage if it can use it immediately. Okay, just wanted to show you guys that. So we could also put an external file here, and I showed you guys this. That was script, and I just put the source code here, and when I would have a JavaScript file like script test, it would include it already. Do we have something in that file? Oh, and Dreamweaver is nice. Like with the CSS, he puts it back up here, so you can go left and right. So if I have an external JavaScript file and I have it linked, it's already up here. I can just flip forward and backward. So I could take the whole thing away from here and put it here in the JavaScript file. And it does exactly the same thing. But then depending on where that script is, if I put it here, it should stop working. This. So it stopped working again. But here I could then use the deferred. Okay. And as I soon have that, is at the end of the for JavaScript. JavaScript, as I told you guys, is case sensitive. So the variable name is not the same than the variable name. Okay. But if I have a name that's put together out of multiple words, font, color, main element, for example, something like this. Okay. Then variables always start with lowercase letters and never with the number. If you have an object or a class, it would start with the capital letter, or like the date object, okay, that we had. And I know this is wrong. So let's put it here. Or if I have constants, so it's basically a variable that is fixed. Whenever I put something in the constant, it will not be changed anymore. So const for constant, and then constants are written with all caps. So all uppercase. Okay. And as I said, as soon as I put something in there, it's a constant. It will never be changed. If you actually try to change it, like see it as a one word, but between this here and the assignment, there, if there's no white space or 50 spaces, does not matter. It's only thing comments. Okay, for JavaScript we have two different comments we can use. So if I just want to comment one line, I have // and then one line comment. Okay, if I have a multiple line comment, it's the same then in CSS. /* blah 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 and */. Okay, and as we learned earlier with our date, if I want to work with data, I need a container for my data, and this is basically what the variables are for. And JavaScript is a very loose language, so it does not care if you have a string or a number or an object or an array or whatever in your variable. You don't have to specify that. For example, in Java, and I would not have that here. I would have all my created variables and constances here before I start actually with code. So to create variables, we had not the car, we had var, and I could say var a, var b, var sum, and then assign something to the variable. So a equals 5, b equals 4, and sum equals a plus b. Okay. I could write that. It's very long and word variable, and the sum variable a is 5 is here. That's my preferred way to do it. Others do it different. So if you're creating variables, you forget to declare a variable where you want to create it, you could run into a problem if else in your code without wanting to. Okay, let me give you a quick example here. Do it here in the browser again because it's quicker for us to see. So let's create a variable name, and here's Gerhard. Okay. Of course, function as well. Okay, a function is kind of like a little block of code where something happens inside, and I can name that one, for example, change. Okay. And inside that function, I create another variable called name, because I have no other ideas. And inside there, the name of that function, name in that variable is key. Okay. So if I now console log out the name variable, I still have my name. let's run the function. If you want to run the function, you just call it by the name and add the two brackets. So, and let's log the name out again. It's still my name, okay? If in the function, I forgot to declare the variable, and say just use name and put bonk key in. So far I didn't run it. It's still my name in there. Let's run the function and then put out again. I changed the name in the outside variable without wanting to. So if I'm inside the variable and I just create a variable without the var inside, it becomes immediately a global variable. It's what it's called. So this one is available everywhere in our code. And because we have one with the same name, it will override whatever is stored in that variable outside here. Questions to that logic? No? Okay. I don't believe you guys, but yeah. Okay.
We always just figure it out. If it's difficult now, we'll get it later.
Okay, and this is, you know, you can, because you're a lazy developer, you just use the same name for the variables over and over and over again. As long as you're inside a function and you declare a variable, that one variable only lives inside your function. It will never stream outside of that. But if you don't declare the variable inside there and just use the variable and you have one outside too, you just override whatever's in there. And suddenly, because you named all variables the same name, instead of a number, there's a string inside and you run into a problem. You cannot add something to a string. Or mathematics. So, talking of data types, we have different data to negative number. JavaScript don't care. Other programs or program languages care. JavaScript, as I said, very loosey-goosey on that one. Then strings. Okay. Var string. String is a row of symbols. Let's call it this way, okay? They're always between quotes. For example, hello. Okay. Or I could also write it with single quotes. Okay, that does not matter, but it will not work if I mix them. Now, one question you will have, you don't think about right now, is what if I have Tony's? So if I have an apostrophe inside there, you see that the S here already has a different color. So it means it's outside of our string, but we need the apostrophe there. So one workaround is I use the double strings. And with that, I don't have the problem. Sometimes I need the single strings and the other one as well. And then there is a way I can use the backslash to tell JavaScript to ignore the next character and use it as a character and not as a quote to end the code. Okay. Crazy idea, I know. So what other data types we have? We have Booleans. So for example, what should we call that? The sun is warm. Okay, and Booleans are true or false statements. So I can say true, the sun is warm, or false, the sun is not warm. Then I also have another very special thing is if I want to have something that is empty, and that, let's call it empty, and that one gets a null. Okay, there's not zero in it, there's really nothing in it. So it's really empty. And then if I create a variable without putting anything in it, so even less than that, it would be undefined. Okay, so like undefined whenever you see that. Everyone good? Okay, remember these are the basics to understand everything. We're not at logic so far, we're just how to write JavaScript. So if I want to do something with something in JavaScript, I need operators. There is the assign operator, which we has already seen somewhere. Then we have mathematic operators. And these are the regular mathematic operators: plus, minus, multiply, and divide. And there is a fifth one. It looks like the percentage sign. And this one's called modulus. So I hope I don't have to explain to you guys what plus, minus, multiply, and division does. But modulus is if I have a division and I have some rest after the division, it will show me the rest. So for example, 9 divided by 2, I will get a 1 from a modulus operation, because there is, after taking all the 2's out of the 9, I have 1 left. Makes sense? Okay. So then algebra rules apply. So in German, we say Punkt vor Strich. So operations with the dot, like multiply and divide, are higher than plus and minus. And if you have brackets around them, consts, it's all the same with JavaScript. So then we have shorthand operator. So if I want to say, first I show you guys. So this is a plus equals shorthand operators. Then we have, of course, minus equals shorthand operator, multiply equals, and of course, also the last one, divided equals. So how to use that? So come back to our var a equals 5 variable. And then what if I want to add something to that one? So I could write var a equals, now a plus 4. So I put 5 plus 4 in there. As you know, all developers are kind of lazy. We don't want to write the same thing over and over again. So the shorthand to do that would be, actually, I don't have to declare the variable here anymore. So I could say a plus equals 4, which is exactly the same statement than up here. So here I just say a equals from now on yourself plus whatever is assigned to it. Okay. And And then we have unary operators. If I want to just add one or subtract one. It's very often used if you're looping through something. You get the length of a string or an array and say, for as many items there are in there, you loop around that one. And in order to keep track of in which loop you are, you're just adding one to a variable till you reach the end of the loop. So it's not going on forever. So unary operators are, if you use the same A here, for example, A++, or so it's actually the same like before. A is A plus 1. Okay, I could say A++. It's the same. Or I could also say plus plus A. Okay, that's the same trick. It adds 1 to whatever is inside the variable. Logic-wise, it makes a difference if I have the two pluses on the right or on the left side of my variable name. I can also do it with minus. Plus. Let's create a variable. Okay, and let's put a 1 in there. Console log A. And you guys see that we have the 1 in here, okay? So now let's do console log A plus plus A, okay? So that means now, before logging it out, add 1 to A and then log A out, okay? So we get a 2. If I put the 2 A's to the back, so it says log out A first and then add 1. So which number should we see? Okay, we still should see 2, but now inside our logarithm is stored the 3. Everyone's quiet. Okay. Did I break you guys already?
Just a teeny bit. Can you do it one more time?
Okay, so first we stored 1 in our variable, okay? So there's 1 inside. Then I said print out whatever is in that variable, which is 1. Then I said add 1 to the variable, which is then 2, right? And print the variable out. So we got the 2. Then I said print out the variable, and after you print it out, you add a 1 to it. So we print out 2, and then we store the 3 in it. And then I say, oh, just show me again whatever it's in the variable, and it's then 3. So here I add, okay, so we store a number 1 in it, okay? And then you say, oh, show me what's in the variable. It's a 1, right? And then I said, okay, now show me what's in the variable, but first add 1 to it, right? Okay. And then I said, then you said, show me the variable, and after you showed me the variable, add 1 to it. And then the last one said, oh, show me the variable again. Better that way? Okay, okay. So that's the difference between having the 2 pluses before the variable name or after the variable name. Okay? Okay, so. Oh, another fun one. Let's go here. So you see the live example. So working with strings and numbers. Okay, let's create a variable. To not get confused, let's use X and put a 4 in it, okay? Then we create another variable, it's called Y, and we put a 5 in it. And then we console log, okay, A plus B, right? What should we get? Okay, yeah, 9. Okay, let's do it. Var sum A plus, was that my mistake? Plus B, okay. If you're stupid, it hits you really hard sometimes. So X plus Y. Okay. Okay, 9. So what happens if I make and go and put 2 quotes around the number 5? What am I getting as output here now when I do X plus Y? Any wild guess is good for me. No? No, okay. I get 45. Why? Has anyone a theory about that one, why we get 45? There's no wrong answer. Just
Can I take a wild stab at it?
yes.
So does putting the quotations around the 5 mean that first you add like 4 plus 5, which is 9, and then you multiply 9 by 5?
No, but it's a nice idea. I haven't had that one.
Oh, thank you.
What am I doing if I put quotes around something? I make it a string, right? So text. So mathematically, I count and then add date, month, and then date, year, and then date, day. Remember that one in the beginning? We use the plus signs between that. So JavaScript, if it's not within a mathematic operation, JavaScript says, oh, take the number and put the string next to it. So we get the 4 from the number and the 5 from the string, and so we get 4. So everyone back? Physically, yes. Okay. So now we're coming to the first dips into logic. So if I want to test for something and then do something, like if it's raining, take the umbrella, you know, if not, then not. I do that. I have no comparison in here. It is always true. Okay, so if this is true, then use no, it's true. sun cream. Okay. And else, so if it's not true, use the umbrella. That would an if else statement be. So if I have more than one. If I have more than two, I could use else if statement, else if, and then the last one is else statement. Okay. Let's write one here. So let's create a variable, and I'm running out of ideas. A is 5, and the variable b is also 5. Here. Okay. Then another variable, the numbers match. Okay. So here's my scenario. Let's check if A and B is the same number, right? So if A equals B, okay, then the, where is it? Numbers match equals to true. And if not, so else, then numbers match equals false. And then console log the numbers match. And here's our concatenation again. The numbers match. The numbers match. Okay. Does someone see a problem here with what I just wrote?
Is it the semicolon of false?
Oh, that one too. Yeah, sorry. Didn't even want to. Okay. Now there's another one, an important one. In the if statement. Actually, exactly here. What is my problem there?
Is it because the letters?
Oh, I assign it to A, so that the statement is always true. Even if that here is 6, I then make B A. So in here, I make A also 5, so it will always be true. If I want to compare something, I have to use 2 equal signs. Because 1 equal signs, remember, is I assign the right side to the left side. No, okay. So
I'm ashamed as a games student that I didn't notice that, honestly.
so now with 1 equal sign, you assign something to the other side. So in order to compare something, I need 2 equal signs. So let's copy that one here for me to show you. And put that one in here. So, and then I have the output, the numbers so the match is false because 5 is not equal to 6, right? So if I'm using here 5, then I get true because A equals true. If I basically the same as if I have 1 equal sign. What crazy idea. Oh, let's do it this way. What if I make this one a string? What will we have? True or false? There is it, the string again, the string problem. It is true. It's crazy, right? Because I'm comparing this symbol with this symbol. If I want to make it strict enough to also compare the type of data I'm comparing, then I have to use 3 equal signs. It's like very strict comparison. So even not only the data that's inside the 2 variables, also which data it is will be compared. And here I get then a false. So be aware. There's more fun stuff with JavaScript. Okay, so we're having that little fun thing here. So I can have, so 1 is I assign something, 2 is I compare, and if I want to have a very strict comparison, I use 3 equal signs. Then there are also other signs I can use. So like, for example, if something is less than equal, or if I want to be very strict, less than equal. I also can have something is bigger or equal, or bigger and equal. You get the theme of that one. Then I can also compare the opposite of something. Let's say if something is not true or not equal to something. And if I want to be more strict, I also have the possibility. So if it's not equal. So even with the data type, it's like reverse logic. If it's not sunshine outside, then probably it's raining, so I need an umbrella. Can go to thinking the opposite way. I can also, with the if statement in the condition, so if, and then we have our not true, I can say if the condition is not true, then do this way, okay? It's how you write it then in the condition to check the other way around. Then here within the condition, we are having also logic operators, which is and or. So to check for multiple conditions at one time. So it will be if, and then I check for my condition, like if A is equal to B, where's it? And so the double, what is it called? Ampersand, C is equal to D, then do something, okay? So in order to have that block here, that block of code executed, A and B have to be the same, and C and D have to be the same. So both statements have to be true. Then there is another way. So if A equals to B, or C equals to D, then do something. So this is the pipe symbol. This is the one button above the return. where the backslash is also. It's the pipe, which is or. So 2 pipes, or 2 ampersands and. And then there's a crazy way where you can check for XOR, for where you have the only when it's cut within both areas together. But I haven't used that knowingly so far, so I spare you guys from that one. Then there's also a shorthand writing for if statements, also for functions, but I'm not showing you guys that one. Instead of writing it the long way, if A equals B, then I don't know, something console log match, else no match. Okay, so that would be a if statement with 2 possible outcomes. If I have this easy one-line if statements, if I check something, if it's true or not true or something, I could use a shorthand writing for that one. And you sometimes see that one. That's why I'm showing it to you guys. So I could write A equals B as the condition and then use the question mark. And the question mark is then for the output, and the first output is for the true statement and the second output for the false statement. So console log match, and then we have a colon, and then we have the false statement. Okay. This one line here is actually exactly the same than this here. It's just a shorter way of writing. Okay. You sometimes will see that it's not beginner friendly, but I want you guys to have it seen at least once. Okay. Everything good so far? Yeah, okay. So then let's come to arrays. Arrays are arrays of items stored in a variable. So it just multiple things stored in a variable. There are 2 ways you can create an array. Let's say bar, let's call it 1 pence, okay. And then I can add an array into the variable by calling the variable pence, and then have the new special keyword array, and then the round brackets. And inside for every string element, I have to put it within quotes, like, because we have pens, we go with colors, red, blue, green. Okay. The shorter way of writing that would be pens, okay, equal to, and then the square brackets, and then just writing the values in there, red, blue, green. Does exactly the same. I think using the square brackets is nicer because it's first quicker, less typing, and second, you immediately see that this is an array if you see square brackets in a variable combination. And of course, variables, arrays don't have to have the same information, same data type in there. You can have something else. You could write here keys 5 true something else. It's also very fully valid array. Okay. Let me just take that one in the browser to show you guys again, to work a little bit with it. So var pens green. Okay, so created a little array. Then let's log that one out. So, and we get an array with 4 elements, and then we have the values here, red, green, blue, silver. And I get a few things I can use with arrays. And what, for example, I just want to have the 4th pen color. Okay, so let's create a variable, 4th pen, and let's store in there the 4th color we put into the pens array. So pens, and then to get the 4th color, I have a square bracket, and inside the square bracket, I put the number of the element I want to retrieve from the array. Which number should I put in to get silver? 4. Okay, what do I get with 4? Nothing.
3.
Yeah, 3. Remember, JavaScript starts counting from 0. Okay, so if I put it in there and then we'll console log it out. Then I get silver. Okay, so I can do all of this. I can, for example, change only one thing. I could say pens and then put the number there. Let's change the last one, silver, and assign it something new. Purple. Okay. If I do now, oh, it's stored in there. So let's put that one in here, and if we put it out, we have purple there. Okay. So where am I here? I set here to the pens variable on position 3, so which is number 4, just add purple. So I just changed silver to purple with that statement here. The other stuff was just for the output. Okay, Then, here. I can now use some methods that come with the array object. Remember with the date object, we created the date with the special word new and then the date object very in the beginning of the class. And earlier I showed you guys that you can create an array also with the new special word and then the word array here. Okay, with that new and then array, and then it's in round brackets, that always, and the first letter is capital, so you know it should be an object. With objects, I get methods, which are little functions that are inside that objects I can use to manipulate stuff I have. So, for example, where have we been with our, so here, we have still the variable, the array with the pens inside, red, green, blue, and purple. And now I show you a few handy things that you come up to use quite often. So we can get the length of the array if I don't know it. And I just log that one out for you. So let's put some text here. Array length. Okay. And then we go to the pens array and use the length method. And with that, we get the number 4. So our array is 4 items long, but we start counting with 0. So other method I have here is, for example, pens reverse. Everyone should assume right what this one does. So it just reverses the arrangement in there. Then another one we have is shift. Okay. That one removes the first item in the array. So position 0. Okay. Then another one we have is unshift. Okay. And for that one here, we have to have another statement in here. So we could say purple. And then black. So with unshift, we're saying put something in the array in the beginning. And we're putting these 2 in there to the beginning of the array. Okay. Then if we want to do something at the end of the array, we can say pop. And pop gets rid of the last element in the array. So for us here, purple would get lost. Okay. And then I can also push. And it's the same like unshift. I have to specify what I want to put in there. So pink, for example, and that would push pink to the end of the array. So we would get 1 more. And if you want to remove something from the inside of an array, you use slice. Okay. And with slice, you need to have 2 elements in there. The first one is where to start. And then the second one, how many you want to cut out. So for example, if I want to get rid of blue, that would be 2. comma 1, and I only want to get rid of 2, blue. If I want to get rid blue of purple, blue and purple, it will be 2, 2. Okay? As you see here in the preview. Okay. Good. Yay. So you could copy parts of an array into another variable or another array. This could be quickly done by, let's just create a new variable, new pens, and in there we say pens, the old one, and then we use slice. What are we using? 1, 2. Okay, so now that slice of our first pens is stored in the new pens, and then we could console log out the new pens, and we see that there green is in there. But if I console log the old one, I still have all 4 in there. So I did not update the original array. I just took something out and put it in the new one. Or if you go and want to have a specific element of there, so we could create a new variable, result, and then let's go to our first pens array again, and then we could say index of. Index of. That means we're looking for what we specify here. Let's see, purple. And we also tell the function where it should start looking for. So if I know that the first element, for example, is not purple for sure, I can say, oh, just start at position 2 then, you know? And then it would look for that. And then would tell me it's on position number 3. Okay. So I also could return items from an array as a comma separated list. So let's do that here. We'll create a new variable, call it array string. String, yeah, I can write. So here I use the pens array, then I say join as a method to that. And then I console log out here the string from array. And that one is array string. So you see green, blue, purple. You know, it's all a nice comma separated list. It's what join does. You could also change the operator if you just put something in here in join between quotes. Like if you want to have the comma separated list, not separated with commas, but with forward slashes, you would put 2 quotes and in between the quotes, the forward slash in there, and you get that output. Everyone has fun. Okay, so then let's write a little bit and learn about functions. Make that a little bigger here. Okay. Because we talked a lot about functions earlier. And functions come in a little bit different flavors, but basically they're all built the same. Functions are used to structure common things in your program into code blocks that can be reused over and over again. They are, as I said, they're like mini programs inside the functions that you can use over and over. They create a result immediately. They can be used by other functions to do something, or they can be used to make an output of something, you know, for your website on the page, for example. They are named functions that you then call by name. They're anonymous functions. They run immediately when they are triggered. And then there are immediately invoked function expressions, which are as soon as the browser sees them, they are executed. So functions start with the word function. Okay, I know it's shocking. And it's usually nice to have a named function. So then you put the name here. And 2 round brackets. If your function needs to have attributes put in when it's called, you have to put them here. Okay. Otherwise, you just leave it blank. And then you have this curly brackets. And between the curly brackets is whatever code you write in there. Okay. So let's create, let's go here. So we see a result. So let's create a function. Okay, let's call it multiply. Okay, and to multiply something, we need at least 2 numbers, A and B. Okay, and if I get the 2 elements, then let's create a variable. We call it result. And inside the result, we store the multiplication of A and B. Okay. And then let's console that one out. Okay. And then there's another keyword return. So whenever you want to get a result out of a function, you have to use the keyword return. And let's return the result out of there. Okay. So now let's call that function and store the result in a variable. Okay. So let's create a variable. let's call that one multiplied. Okay. And then here we call our function multiply. And we remember we have to put at least two, no, we have to put two numbers. We didn't create it different. We have to put two numbers in here. 3 and 4. Okay. And let's run it. So we get 12. 3 times 4 is 12. So this one we have output here, but the result is also now stored in multiplied. So if I console log out multiplied, I also get the 12. So I can do something with the number later with it, like an if statement. If it's bigger than 10, write an, oh, I'm shocked in red or something. So for an anonymous function, that one looks like function. And then here you have your code. Okay, same like here. We're just missing the name here. It's an anonymous function. Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, that is also nice to see. So let's compare things. So let's create a function. Let's call it find the biggest fraction. Find biggest fraction. And then in there, we console log function is running. Console log. And close our function, okay? So by now, nothing happens with our function, right? Because no one's calling the function, so it will never be run. In order to run a function, you have to call it. And you call a function by just putting the name there, find the biggest function, and then to run the function immediately, you have to put the 2 round brackets there. So as soon as I did that, I get my output here, the function is running. Only if I call a named function will it run. So you can create as much as you want, it will not happen. And I think with that, I let you guys go to bed today. Any questions? Because I know it was a lot for people who never done any programming language before. Yes. Ask me.
Just, it's a lot. Is there like a cheat sheet that we have to know all these functions?
You don't have to know functions. You only have to know how to Google.
Okay, that's great.
Good thing you told me. If you ever in the need of knowing, needing something JavaScript. What is that? Firefox, so Mozilla, JavaScript references. So develop Mozilla. Of course, I have it in German again, but there should also be in English. Yeah, okay. Developer.mozilla.org, okay, which is Firefox developer website. They have a pretty good documentation about everything JavaScript related. Okay, if you ever look for an expression object, you see value properties, it's all there documented. So you guys just have to, I remember like 10 different functions. Everything else is written somewhere, you can go and get it. Okay. And also WW3 school. So W3 school here. The online tutorials. Remember, these are the guys who write the rules for the web. JavaScript. They have everything there too. And if you're interested in Python, PHP, Jquery, Java, it's all there. So as a fresh developer, you learn to Google. It's really what it is. And to think structured, you know, why is this outcome 45 and not 9 as we had earlier, or something like this. So don't worry, I was there too. Any other questions? No? Okay. Yeah, today was pretty easy. So no, it's this is the basic. We will, what is my next here? Do something with arguments, with function, write a little bit more JavaScript with these tiny blocks. We're doing a constant, and then we're dipping the toes a little bit in objects so that you guys see what objects are and how they can be used. Then we will write 2, 3, 4 small programs to do something. And before we do that, we do some on the test page I have here. I give you the test page file, which is basically a tiny bootstrap page, and we will target elements with JavaScript and change them. So we're actually interacting with the web page. That is the next 2 days or so, or 3. And then we're tipping our toes a little bit into Jquery, which is a library where other people wrote some functions for us to use, but it's not used so much anymore, but you guys should see that too. And then it's your project. So don't worry. Everyone made it so far. So any other questions? Then till Monday.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you.
Good
Have a
night.
good weekend.
Professor.